shows the level of tznius. Our mitzvahs are outside, our mitzvahs are hidden.
Right? And the second one, another reason is because she extinguished the Ner, the candle of the world. Who was the candle? Yeah, Chava, who was the candle of the world? It was Adam edition, right? When he gave the Chetes Hadas, extinguished him, right? That's when he got the Gzeira of that he has to pass away. He's not going to live forever. He extinguished the candle of the world, therefore she has to be masakin what she was makalkal, what she ruined, by lighting a candle every week, lighting up the world every week. Okay, so those are the two reasons why women have this the ones who light it actually. But really, men are equally mechuyev, and the chiyev they're both equally mechuyev. It's just for different various reasons. The payil mamish actually the women are the ones who light it, and the woman is lighting for the man, right? For the wife is lighting for the husband. And she's his shliach. She's his shliach to light candles. So he says, really, so really it's his mitzvah, but still, the husband should let the woman light it. Shouldn't come, I have a chiyuv, I want to do it. No, we leave it for the woman to do. And we're supposed to, the halakha, the Lerner says, we're supposed to let the woman do it.
Erev Shabbos, all the can go out. And they ask, the men, you Jewish, want to film? The women, you Jewish, here's a candle.
Right.
He says the men also. After you put film, there's a candle to go home.
It's true.
It's equal mitzvah.
It is equal mitzvah. It's true. It's a good question.
Who's going on?
But seems like the Rebbe, since it's generally a woman who do it, so seems like the emphasis of the campaign of the mitzvah is for the woman. It's in a Hanami, 100%. Probably we could do the campaign amongst our own also. For not all men know this even, but okay. Now, but still, and this is answering your question. Your question is that, so why is there Indian of the husband to prepare the candles, right? So the Magen Avraham, whatever brings it, it's originally comes from Narizal. Narizal says that the husband should prepare the wicks and the candles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Narizal brings. They brought in Magen Avraham, brought out the Rabbi Shulchan from Narizal, that the husband should be the one preparing. He should have a part of it. Since really
Before it wasn't done, before Narizal wasn't a established thing.
Seems like it wasn't. No, seems like it wasn't.
So it's a fairly new thing.
Yeah, well, 500 years. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So even less, I'm saying that's when he said when it was written until it was brought in Magen Avraham and brought up everyone started doing it. But yeah, something from that is all. That's the husband should be the one preparing the candles, because since Batsim it's his chiyuv, right? It's really his chiyuv. He should have some part of it. So how does he have a part of it? By preparing the candles. So how do you prepare it? Some people prepare like the way you do it. That's you light the wick and you're preparing it to make it easier to light. When the woman lights it, it's already like a coal. It's like ready to be lit.
She doesn't have to struggle to start with the putting it.
Right, you don't have to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like we mentioned before, that in the olden days it used to be more. It was more important to light it with the wick beforehand, because it was harder for the fire to catch onto the wick.
Mm-hmm.
So it was important to light it beforehand to make it easier, more flammable and quicker to light. Today the wicks are made much more flammable, much more easier to catch on fire, so it's not as important, but many still do have this custom, and it's a minig Yisrael. So those who have a custom, it's shouldn't stop doing that custom, and if you don't have the custom, it's also fine. It's also fine. Both are able, both are good. But there's anyhow, if you're not doing that minig, you can still set up. You can set up the lighter, put out the lighter, or at least you could put on the on the prepare the candles, do something, some part of it, to have some part of the mitzvah.
Buy it also.
Sorry,
You should buy him also.
buy the candles.
Yeah.
So do something to prepare it.
And you're showing the wife you're helping here, preparing it. That's something for you.
Another okay, and also, like we're gonna go right back to the beginning now after we say this, that you should also light a candle in the other rooms of the house. Now, what does that mean? Let's start back. We skipped to go answer these questions.
That was before they had electricity.
You don't want to use it as a form of light.
Very good. Sorry?
You don't want to use it as a form of light,
In other rooms.
You didn't.
but in that room you could, right?
That
Not
room.
really. Not really. It's too good.
Man.
Sorry. Okay, so let's say right here. Let's start from the beginning. Tikne chachamim were masakin that shiel chaladom near delek v'Shabbos v'chol cheder v'cheder sheilok sham. The takanas chachamim was that you should have a burning light in every cheder, every room that you're going to be going there on Shabbos. In every single room which you're going to be going there on Shabbos, not just to have one candle. That wasn't the only part of Takanas Chachamim. Takanas Chachamim was you should have in every single room where you're going to be going on Shabbos to have a candle lit.
Oh,
Why?
because if you're going to learn, then you might forget and you need the candle to be clear. Right?
So, but you're going to still have that problem.
Right.
So, what's the
I know
reason?
it's something to do with that.
But that there's a lot of halachas about that. I'm saying there's a lot of halachas.
Isn't the kid become?
Sorry?
They weren't Friday night.
Right. So that's
Remind them.
right. That's discussion about Shemayata. That's a whole discussion from the Gemara and it's all discussion Shulchan Aruch.
What do you
So over here,
Bagel.
what's the reason? Mishum shalom bayis. The reason is the Gemara says the reason is because of shalom bayis.
What, we have a candle burning in every room?
In every room, it's because of shalom bayis.
See what you're doing.
Oh, so he's asking. It's just you needed to see what you're doing.
So that's what I figured the Shalom bias is. You can see
Oh, that's the answer. The answer is that shalom bayis is doesn't mean shalom bayis, like between the husband and wife.
oh, just not to have a crazy upside down house.
It means exactly. It should mean there should be shalom in the house. Why shalei kashul be'etz above? And although the Rambam does connect it, the Rambam is the only one who I'm saying also there's also the meeting which does connect it to actual shalom bayis with the husband and wife. They have a different explanation, but the ikar pirush, main pirush which everyone accepts, which the Gemara, which Rashi and the main which is accepted is shalei kashul be'etz above, is not to stumble. You shouldn't stumble on a piece of wood, on a stone, and because if there's not going to be lights, you're not going to see where you're going, and you could stumble on something, and there's no shalom in the house. Then there's no shalom bias. No shalom bias.
Was not Tzala then.
They didn't have like street lights. They didn't have nothing. If you didn't have a light, it's dark.
It was pitch black.
Yeah, but Philip's not the roof also.
Oh, so
We have neighbors, but-
this is the question. The question is that when there's electricity today, do you have to do it in every single room? And the answer is, as most of you have seen, the minig b'payil is that you don't find people lighting candles in every single room. And the reason,
right now.
because you have a Shabbos lamp, because since you have light coming into the room, so either because you have a Shabbos lamp, or because you have from outside the room, from the hallway.
Is more stronger than a candle.
Yeah, the hallway light
B'nai Brak, they have kerosene lanterns.
outside.
But Pazanish held that if the electricity shut off, a Jew, like the whole grid, a Jew is going to turn it back on.
Right. So they right. They don't want to use the generator, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that's right. That's another great discussion. Or from the streets. If you have a street light today, right outside of your window, and lights coming in that way, and you're not going to be kosher. You don't have the issue of your kosher bates. You're not going to be stumbling over everything. You don't have to be groping in the darkness. You're able to see where you're going. So most places can say that's okay, right? Like we see the minig. I don't know people who light in every single room an actual candle. I think it's sorry, it's makubal by Klal Yisrael to rely on that. That's enough.
So
Because
what they do this? Each room they light one candle, or they need like a few candles in each room. Like my
No,
wife
one
lights
candle-
12 candles.
one candle's enough.
What?
One
Just-
candle is just shalei pashul the eights of Adam.
Does have the person actually written that position?
Yes. All of the places can discuss it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, everyone discusses this. This is the reason initially, the only reason why you have to make, which means it's a technical thing. The reason why in every room you have to have something is a technical reason, is you should have shalom bayis and they shouldn't trip. And once you have shalom bayis over there anyhow, because there's light in the room, so then you don't need to light a candle in the room because there is anyhow light going into the room. Again, if it's going to be a pitch black room, let's say sometimes you have a basement which doesn't have any windows. I've seen such basements.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that there's a Shabbos lamp over there. Something over there. Maybe you don't mind so much, just going down for sleeping, whatever. You don't really mind. So then you have to make sure that there's going to be a Shabbos lamp.
It's like, it's almost an aver, like it's all reflections, and it's not your thing.
It's a chiyuv. It's a chiyuv. It's the kanas kachamim.
What doesn't?
The tiknu kachamim. The reason is because during the week we don't. It's not. It's a chiyuv is on Shabbos. It's not a chiyuv during the week. You're allowed to have such a room during the week.
Right.
If you want to have tsar during the week, want to have it, be uncomfortable during the week. That's your choice. But on Shabbos, we have to have shalom bayis. Shabbos is the time that the Chachamim want to make sure that there's shalom bayis in the house.
Why during the week we don't need shalom bayis?
We also need.
More.
We also need.
No,
but
we can always open the light.
That's depending on your smart decision. We're going to leave it up to you. On Shabbos is a chiyuv. Chacham don't leave it up to you. They say you have a chiyuv to make sure that the shalom bayis.
I think chiyuv has to be the whole week with Shabbos. To have shalom bayis with your wife.
He's not talking about the shalom bayis.
It's not about shalom.
No, shalom bayis not to be nifshol, stumbling.
I'm talking about not.
Of course.
And I got shalom bayis.
Kala Torah nitna lasa shalom ba'ilam. The whole Torah is for us to give shalom.
Sometimes I just want to stop you 1 second. I went last night a shalom bayit couple, but they called me to speak to them. You have no idea. Sometimes it's nonsense. Trick them to make fight for nonsense. And I try to convince them this is nothing. A million couple do yet same thing. Why this is that to trick you? And Baruch Hashem, I had that tzlacha.
Wow, beautiful. Very nice. Okay, so now the question is, now we can ask someone, maybe someone has this question. Okay, so we sit, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's not that question. Whatever that question is, I'm willing to bet against it. But I have a question. So usually when the women light the candles, they do it very quietly, right? But as you have a baby or a child in the house that the wife is lighting with, sometimes she'll say it loud enough and you happen to be passing by and you hear the bracha. You say amen?
Sure, there's no problem.
Of course.
They say it so quiet, like it's a secret. I thought we're not supposed to say amen. In general, they say it so quietly that you don't say amen.
No,
No.
my wife, right?
Oh, every week.
That's
you
loud
say that?
enough to say.
Maybe sometimes they're thinking because it's a special time, so they're absorbed in their thoughts, so they're not saying aloud maybe, but
My wife
But it's
called
okay.
me.
It's not-
I'm in the other room. She called me, say I'm making now the bracha. Come to answer amen.
My question.
Every week.
The light. Then what is the
Very special way.
oh, this is the question which I was waiting for, yeah.
I felt like we were stupid questions.
Okay, this is the next question. Okay, you can tell everyone the question. That was the question.
Yes, your wife said it out loud.
49 minutes.
I think so. It's okay. Say if they want to say it quietly because they're absorbed in the thought. It's a special time. It's okay also.
So they say it quietly.
Maybe there's some. Maybe I'm not aware of minhagim. I'm not aware of all the minhagim. So it could be there's such a minhag. I'm not a raya.
You know what the wife saying quiet? She make a blessing that she be a good kid. She make it quietly. But when she make the bracha, she have to make loud.
The lights are already on.
This is the
So
question.
we don't need candle light in order to light up the room. So that.
So make it a Shabbos, the Hadikness of Shabbos, is special for Shabbos. The light can be on all over the place.
Yeah.
And the reason for the light, the reason that you use candle was so that you could see. Now the
No,
light.
No.
the reason you can't see. He said you add extra candles in all the rooms so you can see.
No, I'm thinking in general.
What's the reason for halakha?
So until now, he says, this is the question he's asking, that until now, everyone heard this question? Until now, we're saying that the reason for lighting the candles in every room is why, in order that there shouldn't be nixul, and you should have light, and you shouldn't be nixul in Evan the 8, you shouldn't stumble, right? And therefore, if there's electricity in other rooms, there's no reason to light a candle in every room. The question is, if so why do we have a chiyuv cloud today to light a candle if there's anyhow electricity?
Make a buck on electricity.
Make a bracha on electricity. And
That's what I do.
The house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when it comes, I live alone, and when I come to school, I don't want to leave the candles unattended.
Right.
I make a buck on electricity.
right.
How come you're okay leaving the electricity unattended?
Where's the question?
Okay.
Citizen tells them it's okay.
So the answer is like this. The answer is that there is two chiyuvim. We see from the Gemara, from Taisos, we see that there's two chiyuvim. There's two chiyuvim. There's one chiyuv of a gavra that the person has, like it's like a little bit lamdish sprach, right? Everyone knows the gavra and there's the chefsa, right? The gavra and the chefsa, the person and the object, right? So until now we talked about the chiyuv of the chefsa, that the house and every room where you're going to be going needs to have a light lit over there, has to be burning over there, right? And we said that since there's electricity, so there's light there anyhow, so there's no need for light over there. Since the chefsa is lit, the rooms are lit, the electricity is lighting the room, so therefore there's no chiyuv anymore beside the chefsa, beside the rooms. But there's still always a chiyuv gavra. There's a chiyuv on the person. To light candles, to light a candle a covered Shabbos. What's the reason for it? Either it's there's different reasons brought. Either it's L'Kavod Shabbos, they should show they're doing L'Kavod Shabbos, or they should show they're doing, or like we're going to say right now, for Oynik Shabbos.
Yeah, but let me ask you said because one of the two reasons was it's a kind of chava. The women do it. So how come it's not listed for the men?
So that's not the reason for the chiyuv.
Maybe just.
That's the reason why the poil they're the ones who do it. The chiyuv is because of shalom. There's three reasons brought for the chiyuv of candles. Three reasons. One reason we said before is shalom bayis, right? You shouldn't be nixul and you shouldn't stumble. Another reason brought is because of kavod Shabbos, just to honor the Shabbos. When you have a candle, light a candle for Shabbos, you're honoring the Shabbos. Another reason brought is for Oynik Shabbos. Oynik Shabbos because you're going to enjoy Shabbos. You need to enjoy it Shabbos, like we're going to see, because we're going to say now that every person is. We're going to say that every person is chayiv to eat by the candle, because when you have light while you're eating, so you're able to enjoy the food better.
Has to be lit in the room where you're eating?
So 1 second. So 1 second. So what you're asking about. So those are three reasons. Okay. Before I'm going to discuss the word. In a second.
Saying that it's a minhag. It's a minhag that was done before electricity, and we keep through lots of minhag.
Like the Tanakh Chachamim.
You keep right.
Interesting.
Keep
So you
the minhag
always like
all the way.
the snare in the room.
Not only that, it's such a strong minhag
I thought it was just a coin.
that
Like
it's
that's
such a
what-
strong minhag that I had the rabbi from
Oh, you wanna look at
Gairis, big in Gairis, the whole Gairis community. And as soon as he started his Gairis, and he learned about Yiddish Zachen, he realized why one of his grandmothers used to light candles Friday.
Right.
So we see that it's a minhag that's carried throughout South America. There's loads of Moranos.
Wow.
And they'll think they're going, and they sit there like candles.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's
Very interesting, but there is rayas. There's rayas that it's a halacha, not just a minute. Like we're going to talk about. I don't know if we're going to get to it now, but that even in a place where there's light, you still have to be mishtatet. You have to have a chalik of the nair. It's clear that there's a chiyuv, and the Bir Halacha lays it out very clearly. It's very clear in the Gemara and Pesachim that there is a chiyuv even when there's light there also. Okay, so let's just as a recap. You were asking about this idea about the woman if it's done to be masakin, what they fix. That's not the reason for the chiyuv. There's three reasons for the chiyuv: either shalom bayis, kavod for Shabbos, oinig. That's the reason for chiyuv of both of them. Because the question is, why practically do we give it over to the woman? That's because of other reasons, but that's not the original reason for the chiyuv. Sorry? Might have to get a shalom time, yeah. Take a light earlier and make it go to shul. Okay, we'll talk about this and also.
But so you don't have to light in the same room you're eating nowadays because we have electricity anyway?
You should,
No,
right.
okay, so let's talk about that now. A great question. That's what we're talking about right now. So we talked about shalom bayis. Let's talk about another chiyuv said oinig. V'chayiv kol adam k'sha'eichol sudas halayla la'achla isal eir haner shezeh b'chlal einig Shabbosu. Every person is chayiv. It's brought in the Gemara. And Taisus explained this way that everyone's chayiv has a chiyuv. The person is a chiyuv to eat the sudas, the sudas Shabbos at the nighttime, to eat it by the air of the light of the candle. Why? Because that's part of einig Shabbos. Because if you're eating in the dark, it's sad to eat. You like to see. It's you have an appetite. It's different. It's like more geschmack when you see what you're eating. It says about the man. It says Hashem afflicted you, and he starved you, and he gave you the man. What? The man was afflicting us and was making us starving us. What is that supposed to mean? So the Gemara says in Yuma that it's not any dame as somebody who sees what they're eating and they don't see what they're eating, or in comparison to not seeing what you're eating.
It's sour next to what you're eating.
Yeah, so by the man, they didn't see what they're eating. They were able to taste whatever they wanted, but they didn't see what it was. It looked the same always.
Manbu.
Yeah, what is it?
Manbu.
What is it, right? They didn't see what it was. So
blind people don't enjoy their food because they don't see it.
yeah, it's brought lashon sumim. It's the Gemara brings Yuma about brings this. It's about blind. Yeah.
The blind has to make a bracha. Doesn't know the taste.
No, you still enjoy it, but not the same. Not the same. Huh?
But Lamaisa, we have electricity.
So true. It's sad. Electricity really could take care of these issues.
But it does still give a special aura, when you see the Shabbos candle.
Right.
He lets you know that, you have electricity.
Right. Okay. So okay, I will talk about electricity in 1 minute. Seems like this is the hot topic. Right? Electricity is the hot topic. So let me just finish a little bit more. The ikr mitzvahs. Yeah, no pun intended. Depends if it's fluorescent or depends what type, how hot it is. But yeah. The ikr mitzvahs hadlakas neiris uneir zeh she'eichel etzlei. The main mitzvah of hadlakas neiris is the nair which you're eating by. Okay, so this is the question: if you could eat by a different candle, the main candle. In other words, the candle which you're lighting the kavod Shabbos should be the one which you're eating by. Should be on the table. Should be on the table.
Once you block it.
But with that table, there's a problem. You have kids, you have this, so we put it next to the table. I cannot put it on the table, but people.
Whatever, as close to the table as possible.
Yeah.
As safe as possible, as close as possible.
Yeah.
But you could also another thing which is brought in the Quintus Achrin is not only where you're eating by, also where you're preparing the food is also okay. So if it's in the kitchen, it's also okay. Because if you prepare the food, it has to do with preparing the food.
That's fine with you. If it's food.
Yeah, it's also fine. Yeah.
Yeah, if you ever go to a
Then you
hotel,
miss out on
Right.
that, looking at
they
it.
light in the dining room near it.
Right.
You ever notice?
Yeah. Sure.
They have to.
Okay. Hotels is also a big discussion.
Yeah.
We have like 15, 20 minutes left. So we try to cover whatever we could have here. Then we'll continue Bez Hashem next week also. I mean, that's not going to be. We're able to continue on this topic. So we're getting the basics. A lot of the basics. There's a lot to talk about. We see there's like so many questions coming up. So in hotels and going like you were asked in the beginning about going away, your room, vacation, the man, a lot of.
Once it's in the kitchen, what about the minute, like he was saying, of looking at the mirror while you're in the kitchen?
Right, you're not going to be able to do the minig. But the tea, you're macabre, you did. But the minig is you're not going to be able to have it unless there's other candles there, able to look at.
Oh, you can look at any candle?
I'm saying it's to remember. The reason why you look at it by kiddush is
Can you look at the light?
No, where's it?
Unless it's one of the there.
Okay, you know what? Let's hold off on this on discussion. I don't want to get carried away. We're still discussing electricity. Let's talk about electricity a little bit.
So why woman has to close her eyes when she light the candle? What's the reason for that?
Excellent question. Okay, there's also a question we can get to. Let's stop for a second. Let's just talk for electricity for a second, which she was mentioning that he does every week. And we talked about already that for the chiyuv of the chefsa, for the even for the shalom bayis in every room, we do rely on electricity. Now the question is like this: if electricity was put on, not the covered Shabbos, let's say it was put on in the morning, you just left the light on, right? Let's talk about such a scenario. Okay. In other words, we're not using it as a ner Shabbos. That's will be the next discussion. We're discussing right now is that if there's light because of electricity. Not that you're using the electricity or putting on electricity the covered Shabbos. Let's say you just have a light on from the morning. There's a light on,
You leave it.
and you're leaving it on, and so there's light from electricity. Okay, so light from the room. So l'chuda, you took care for sure. The chiyuv chafs is no problem. There's no problem with shalom bayis. In every room you don't have to light. You don't have to l'chuda for einik Shabbos. You can see what you're eating. There's no problem. Light over here, no problem. For the covered Shabbos, you might not have. But you could say the covered Shabbos is just that it should be lit, that the house should be lit. The covered Shabbos, it should be light in the house. But again, we said that there's a chiyuv chefsa, a chiyuv gavra. Sorry, there's a chiyuv gavra. The chiyuv gavra that the person has to light a candle. Right? This chiyuv gavra doesn't mean this chiyuv. You need to be yetzer. You need to light a candle. So the question is, are you yetzer with the fact there's a light over here lit? So the answer is no. Because you didn't light a candle with covered Shabbos. You have to light a candle with covered Shabbos.
Well, if you turn on the switch from the Shabbos.
So that's going to be the next discussion. But the first point is that even though you took care of this chiyuv that you're supposed to have in every single room, lights, wherever you're going to go on Shabbos, you shouldn't stumble. There's no problem since you have light there, but you still have a chiyuv gavri. You still have a
When I was told a week long candles, you light a couple days before.
Exactly. Or electricity. Electricity. You have lights on. The lights. So you took care of the chiyuv chefsa, but you still have a chiyuv a gavra. You still have a chiyuv a person. Every person has to have a candle lit. For him, he has to do it, or he has a shliach do it, like his wife do it. Have to light a candle. So that's lamaisa why we still light a candle. Now the question is, what about using a light, turning on electricity? You're turning it on, especially the covered Shabbos. Could you put on the switch right before Shabbos instead of lighting a candle?
My guess would be b'diavad, yes.
So
Like let's say in a hospital. Something like that.
So in a hospital room, like you say, you don't feel comfortable with the candle there, right? The minig Yisrael is still to use the fire, but in situations like if you don't feel comfortable leaving a candle, or let's say in a hospital, which we have to discuss the hospital at more length, but let's say a hospital is a good example. So that it's in a hospital or any situation where you cannot use fire. So can you use a electric candle? So now this is a major machlekes, and this we have to understand what is the chiyuv that you have to do on what is the chiyuv that you have to do on Shabbos on to light Shabbos candles. What is the chiyuv? Is the chiyuv you should have some sort of light? They should make light, or is the chiyuv to light a fire? To light a fire. Is the chiyuv to light a fire? This is the chakira. Is the chiyuv to light a fire, or is the chiyuv that you should have? You should make light. Okay, we're talking about the chiyuv gavra. You have to be making light.
Make light. If there's a chiyuv to make a fire, and you make a bracha on each one. Make a light, probably.
You know what? Because of what?
If the chiyuv was on the fire, and you have to make a bracha on each. In addition to the
Make a bracha afterwards anyway. So not
What?
make a bracha before. Make a bracha on after.
Yes, he's saying you ate one bracha for everything.
but they weren't doing afterwards.
When you make a bracha on the candles in the dining room, so you're being yetzer all the candles, even if the ones which you will be lighting in other rooms. Which also, by the way, it's the husband's job. That's also part of the husband's job, is that to make sure that everywhere is lit. That's the husband's job also. That's part of the husband's job.
You have to light it when?
So, okay, that's not.
Isn't electricity also considered a fire?
Okay. So we have different opinions. Okay, but this is the first chakira. The first chakira we have to start from before we start having that chakira. The first thing we have to know is the chiyuv to make light, right? We know we have a chiyuv gavra to make light. The question is the chiyuv to make light through fire, or is the chiyuv just to make light? Let's say I would bring in a brilliant gem, a jewel that's gonna make light. Is that also okay?
No.
Nope.
No.
Sorry?
If you're in the dark, it's okay.
If you're an ark, yeah, it's Sayer, Tassel Right?
That's what they did on dark?
Sayer. Some people say that it was a
stone. Wow.
So is that the chiyuv just to make light? It doesn't make a difference how you make the light. So if the idea is if the chiyuv is just to make light, so then electricity, no question, electricity is perfectly fine for the chiyuv. You turning on the light, you're making light. Who cares if it's fire or not? The main thing is that there's light, right? So that's one mahalik. That's one mahalik. There are paiskim which say that any type of electricity is not a problem. Any type of electricity is not a problem because you're making light. So you could switch on. You put on the switch. You turn off the switch before Shabbos. You put it back on the covered Shabbos. Like I say, to make the shine yichid. Put it on and you can make a bracha. You can make a bracha. Many paiskim say that. However, other paiskim argue and say that you need to have a fire. So they say, so then it comes to your question. Question is electric light is a fire or not? So then they start discussing. Depends what type of light. Sometimes, right? What's a different type? Incandescent, fluorescent. There's all different types. Some of them become hot, like you say. Some of them are hot and give light, which are more similar to fire. They have sort of a flame there, similar characteristics to flame. But the other ones, fluorescents, they don't have any. Sorry.
These are LED.
LED are not.
A question of when it's turned on, if it uses the friction to make it happen. Like sparks.
Why should LED be
Okay.
different?
So that,
It's electrical.
okay, that's a discussion also. Yeah, there's a discussion also. So some people say this has to do with this. Some people say that's it's fine even if it's fluorescent. It's not a problem. You can make a bracha on it. But there's another issue, right? Okay, so there's another issue here with electric. Even those who say that it's okay to use even to use whether those who say that you need to have mamish like a light which becomes hot, right? Or they say it's enough even any type of lights. There's another issue over here which the place can bring up. Another shayla like this. Shayla is like this: when electricity comes to your candle, to your light, right, and making a light. Anyone knows how it works? Electricity, a little bit.
I'm Edison.
So
They don't know. They just gotta get it checked.
explain to everyone what that means.
I don't understand it completely, but it's basically the currents going back and forth, which creates what's it called?
An amperage.
Magnetic field that creates that lights up the bulb.
So the point being is that the current electric that was fueling the light this second is not the same. And a second later, it's because it keeps coming. New energy keeps coming, keeps flowing.
Like in the radio.
Or every minute, whatever it is, every 60 seconds, whatever it is, right? So, but it's and there's halacha. What's the problem? So what's the problem with that? The problem is that when you put in the candle, you have to light a candle which is going to be able to be light. Have in it the oil and the wax enough to be able to light until nighttime, until sundown, right? Or if not, you're not yetsa. So if every second, if every minute, like you say, every minute there's a new fuel, new energy. It's not the same energy that was there when you lit it. When you lit it, that energy that was there was not going to stay until nighttime. Because in a minute later, it's going to be different energy, not the one that you used to light the candle.
Matter on the battery would be better.
Yeah, yes. And that's what the place can say. They say that in order to take care of that issue, it's best to have a candle with its own battery. that's why you'll see in the
So
hospitals.
now you're saying something which called DC or AC, direct current or alternate current.
Thank you.
You
Thank you.
said-
I have an electrician here.
You said light bulb, you said candle, you meant light bulb.
Yeah. Electric candle, whatever.
Even with the lamps that are connected to the wall,
Make sure.
the electricity, it's the same electricity,
Harry's
but
made a good
bang,
point.
it's just
When they
electricity,
light
it's in the
hotel, they
wires.
don't light
As soon as you plug it in,
orange
it's
back in
connecting,
the
there's
day.
electricity. But if it's not plugged in, the electricity is still there.
No, but
And
again,
And the
You go
best
in
of
there,
it is,
light,
that if you touch it, you can get a.
no, but what you're talking about, electricity in the walls is alternate. It's coming and going, it's coming and going, it's coming and going. While direct current from a battery is constantly
Right.
flowing.
Yes.
So the alternate current, according to this, what you're saying is a Shiloh.
Right.
Because it's not the same flow.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, but sometimes you can-
Yes, I was gonna understand how much, how much they burn. Now you are.
Until you're able to have enough. You're able to have enough from it. You're able to be present there and have enough from it, depending. So if you're able to be there, you're able to eat over there or to do some prepare the food over there. So that's why in the hotels and they have these small they're not the TV. No, I'm saying not hotels, like in the hospitals, they give these little candles which would have a battery in it.
Yeah, like the menorah lights, just not the whole menorah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the little double light, it's like a little
It
menorah.
it looks like a flame on top and it
Yeah,
keeps
it looks like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder, can you make a bracha on that? Probably, yes.
So that's that. A lot of places say you can make a bracha.
Oh, those are specifically made for that.
Yeah, those candles, those candles which are the electric candles, which have a battery. They give them out in the
A lot of
hospital.
near tummies look like that.
Those, yeah, like a lot of their comments, you see they have it flickers exactly, and it has its own little battery in it. That's what they give out, and that's the best thing to do according to most places. You're able to make a bracha on that. There are places which say they can make a bracha always, and say I'm not saying that you have what you rely on.
The problem I have with the candle, the candelabras to get out from the hospital is that by having these little candelabras, you're not contributing in any way to the light or anything.
Why not?
Because
Giving light.
because the lights in the hospital are on all the time anyway. Well, this is
No, but
he's just like a ceremonial thing.
No, but it's
It's a good point, and it's a good point. I can't discuss it this week, but Bez Hashem, maybe next week we'll be able to discuss
You
it.
said there's three parts. The part of Tikkun Olam is still there. The part of that the place itself should have it done.
And you have a
And make the
here,
bracha. Yeah.
right? But there's still a certain
That
question.
part
But
is missing, yeah.
there is still a question. You're not contributing. You have to be accomplishing something. It's not just a ceremonial thing that you're just making a light. You have to do. You have to actually be contributing something. That we didn't get to today.
Wait, what?
You still have to be contributing something.
But you're not necessarily.
Even though you have a Chiyuv Gavra, but the Chiyuv Gavra has to be accomplishing something. It's
But the guy
kind
who's a multimillionaire with a big fancy house in the corner of his house, his wife lights, that's not contributing either.
that's the
Because
question.
he's got big.
That's
it's no
exactly the question. So that it's we don't have time for that. But Bez Hashem next week we discuss that
That's what
question.
Tikkun Olam, takes care of that. I didn't think it has.
Tikkun Olam is a more
I thought
ruchnistic
it had
thing.
to
It's
be
not
at
like
least
the
1, 3.
Tikkun Olam is a more ruchnistic thing. It's not for you need a gashmistic light. When Chazal say you have to make a gashmistic light, it has to have actually hana b'gashmis, not just a ruchnistic reason. I'm saying
So you're
that's
saying with a regular fire candle, it brightens up, let's say, the object next to it, but with the candle that he's talking about, it doesn't add anything.
so this is the question. This is a major question. And I can't say there's a 100% answer to that, but there's a lot of more things we have to discuss about it. So just to close up, because it's already 11 o'clock. Anyone who wants to stay and ask more questions is welcome. Just I don't want to keep the Elam. So what we said, we just to recap, we said a few things. We said first of all is that the chiyuv of lighting candles is both for men and for women equally. This women have an extra special connection with the mitzvah because they're found in the house, and they're the mainstay of the house, and also because they fix the chete sadas, that they put out the candle, the other edition of the world. So they have this give also on there, but the husband still should prepare the candles.
So
Make
if
sure.
we were to stay in Gan Eden, there'd be no Havlakas and Eretz the second week of creation.
Maybe the man would do it,
No,
not
there
the
might
lady.
be- Right, there might be a lot of land.
No, but then there will be all those still alone. There'll be from
Yeah.
Would not be burned the weight after.
So
Good question.
another. It's also, but the husband should prepare the candles. should prepare the candles and also make sure the light in every room. And we also explained that to the two chiyuvim, the chiyuv of the ketsa, the chiyuv that everyone to make sure that there's light in every place where you will be going. Make sure that that everywhere is lit. But if there's electricity, that takes care of it, because the whole issue, the reason is because shalom bayit, you shouldn't stumble over a Eitzah Evan, and that's accomplished also with electricity. But there is still a chiyuv of the gava, the person to make light. And we explained there's also another chiyuv, not only because of shalom bayit, but also to eat by the candle. So you should have oinik Shabbos. You should enjoy your meal because you can see what you're eating. And that's where the main candle which you're lighting, which you're going to be making the bracha on, and which you're making the most beautiful, that candle, that's going to be the candle which you're lighting by where you're eating. And also a reason to light a covered Shabbos. And then we discussed, because there's a chiyuv to light the candles. The person has a chiyuv, and the question is, could the electricity do it if you didn't light it l'kavet Shabbos? So we said no. But if you're lighting the electricity l'kavet Shabbos, so there's many different opinions, and some opinions say that the main thing is you should be making light, so it doesn't make a difference what type of electricity it is. But others say it needs to have some resemblance to fire, and therefore it has to be a light which is hot. And then there is those which add that it needs to be, as you say, DC, not AC.
Yeah, direct current is DC.
Right.
AC is alternate
Right.
current.
All right, so Lamaisa, this is a shayla which you should ask your personal Rav, because there is a great focus about this, and it's really something which you should discuss with the personal Rav.
Thank you.
That's it, right?
Are you coming during the week too, or only
No, just next Sunday.
Right.